Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Botnight coming at you. I'm going to try to every week here give you a little review of what I expect of you each week, too. Not just throw up the outline and let you guys discern it yourselves. So this week we're going to talk about the non-renewable fuels. I'll post later on this afternoon the first presentation lecture about coal, and then we will start going into natural gas right after that. So this week, your readings. First, I want you not to read something. I want you actually to listen to a podcast, all right, called Crazy Town. And the link to this can be found directly below. So you can either click on this link or you can go to put Crazy Town podcast into Google and it brings up the whole place. So this is where it comes from, a place called Post Carbon Institute. You guys already read some of that community reader, and these are the guys that put that book together, and they just sit around and they just talk about crazy stuff. All right, and the first podcast I want you to read or to listen to is the 1.1 or 21 gigawatts. All right, and it talks about how we kind of equate energy here in society and how we use it and stuff like that. But before we start this, too, there's also a video. When you bring up, I'll show you here in a second. When you bring up the little worksheet, I ask you a couple questions. You want to watch this toaster challenge that's on that little worksheet too. That's a good little video. All right, but there's some readings here too, as you see. Okay, from the Post Carbon Institute. I actually put here. All right, so browse through these following endnotes. All right, of the podcast. Okay. So I want you to, where was I here? Here it is. I want you to actually browse through this one. The links on the Blackboard as well, and it just talks about how we actually equate energy. All right, because it's very important, especially when you're putting together your presentation. You really need to denote your units of energy. Okay, and it can get pretty confusing, but we can always get to a common unit of energy eventually. All right, but you guys gotta make sure you go through those steps properly. All right, and this just talks about all the different kinds of units of energy we use. Okay, you're not gonna get tested on this or anything like that, but these are just common basic. There's a equation for each one of these things, okay? And it's the laws of thermodynamics. It's all about the first and second law here of how energy is transformed from one state to another, okay? And everything can come down to a basic unit, okay? All right, let's see where we are. And there's also, I want you to look through, if you want to check the average price of electricity, you can. We'll talk about crude oil later too, so we'll skip this one. But I want you also to look through this little website here, okay, about how we use energy in our everyday lives, all right? And you don't have to, read this verbatim, but browse through this and look at the different graphs and see how much we're using in using to keep our buildings warm and transportation and industry, but it breaks it down into the other things too. So just browse through this and look at the different pie charts and try to fathom how much energy this really is. That's a lot of energy that we're actually using, right? And today people are saying that they want to increase this usage. Is that even possible? I'm not too sure. All right, but that's part of the equation. Okay, so browse through these end notes. Okay, of the podcast reading, and then I also have some coal readings I want you to browse through. All right, because remember I'm an ecological economist, and one of the things we do is do the cradle to grave analysis. And it's cradle to grave analysis of coal, of oil, of solar panels, of wind turbines. This is analysis we use for everything, even at small business, even Honda. I think it's Honda has a cradle to grave process. All right, either Honda or Toyota, maybe even both. Where they take their cars when they manufacture the cars and they track exactly where it comes from to when it leaves where the end unit is. All right, total tracking of the enthalpy of the energy of making a car. All right, and that's what we need to do with the coal and every kind of energy source. All right, so this one actually talks about the tracking of the cradle to grave analysis for you. We're going to get the use of understanding what we're actually looking at when we talk about that, because we'll be talking about that for every energy source. All right, not just coal. And then I got for you some. We've been working on coal for a while, so you got to remember it. It's funny that this has been around for a long, long time, and this is I like when I see these little working papers, all right? Because this one is what 1978, all right? And this is pretty interesting, and I just want you to browse through it and look at what this guy did. First, he had to type this on a typewriter. Could you imagine? Holy guacamole! Right? There was maybe there was work process, maybe it was just started. Can you imagine doing this on a typewriter? Holy cow, that'd be so tough. It's hard enough on the computer. But these are, some of the things they've been working on for a long, long time. And all this stuff, I don't expect you to exactly know what all this stuff means, all right? But you can see where the math comes in and the regression analysis of all the pollution controls and things like that we did um, way back when. I just find that a little interesting. I just thought I'd, review. You can browse through that and see if you like it or not, all right? But that paper was actually a catalyst for all these things we've done in the coal industry. And way back in the 70s and 80s, people were afraid that the price of coal was going to blow up and the world was going to end because we weren't going to have coal because we had to take care of acid rain. All right? Because coal is one of the main attributes of coal is it has a lot of sulfur in it. And that sulfur created acid rain. And this is one of the most successful programs we've done in environmental standards, okay? Because acid rain, though we like to burn our coal, we also like to not have rusty cars and monuments being destroyed because the raindrops come down. Because that's what acid does. It will eat away at all our foundations, all of our brick and our cement and everything built on. And it was getting out of control. And we needed to do something, so we instituted this acid rain program, and that put some controls on how we were able to burn coal and our oil and our gas. And it was really, really successful, in my humble opinion. Okay, and if we actually did some of this acid rain program and put the same thing in there for CO2 with carbon dioxide, I think we'd be good to go because this actually worked. All right. And what I mean by that, you can go and there's plenty of analysis because this has been around since 1990 was instituted. Um, this program, and we have the data that track it. All right, so this just talks about this website here talks about that data and what's happened. All right, with our sulfur dioxide and put on these environmental conditions onto coal. Okay, and it you can see the different data that they collect, right, in here, and you can go around and just check out these different websites, all right, and see how they float your boat, okay. And then of course we have assignments for this week here are going to be that podcast worksheet, all right. That could be open this up as a document, open it up, and make sure that you answer these questions and submit this separately. Get this over here so I can see where I am here. Make sure you submit this separately in the link below, all right? Because it'll be graded. And then you also have another podcast discussion thread. So I want you guys to talk about what you heard in the podcast and your honest opinion of what you heard. You think it's good? You think it's bad? What have you? All right. Are we pricing things right out there in the marketplace? Do we have enough non-renewable energies to meet our needs? Those kind of things. All right. So, holy cow, what's going on with this word? I should have opened this up beforehand. But I could, talk pretty good, I think. I could waste time. All right, here we go. So like I said, I want you to watch that toaster video first. All right. And then answer how good do you think the toast tasted, right? And then answer these four questions, these remaining questions here, and then submit that separately. Okay. And there's no really, I guess there are some right and wrong answers, all right? But make sure you answer in complete sentences, please, all right? I just don't want a yes or a no, or I find that interesting as they answer, okay? Let's try to be a little bit more complete. And then do the podcast discussion thread. And that's it for the week, okay? So look shortly, I will post up the Cole, the first PowerPoint for Cole, sometime this afternoon, later this afternoon, and then we'll get going on the rest of the things. If you guys have any questions, just give me a shout out. Also, remember that Wednesday that EIA worksheet is due, okay, from last week, okay, and then also I'm going to need your topics, okay. Someone already has a topic you want to run by me for your paper and presentation at the end of the year or in the semester, let me know. Okay. So don't forget this assignment is due on Wednesday, this EIA assignment. Okay. Any questions on that, just let me see. Just give me a shout out. All right. So look forward to this week. I love talking about coal and natural gas. I like talking about all this stuff. So have a good day, and we will be speaking with you shortly, I'm sure. Okay. All right. Bye bye.